Hey, this is Dr. Mike DeBoer, President of BFR Sciences. We're going to do a bands comparison. Many of you out there are seeing 4 categories of bands. First, we got these cheap bands. I call these straps and kind of like rubber bands that are very dangerous. Second, we got single air chamber bands. This is one that a lot of people are seeing online. It's very flimsy, but when I say single air chamber, 1 air chamber. There's another one that's a single air chamber, very dangerous. And then we get into the expensive rehab systems like the Katsu and the Delphi. Katsu, great bands, single air chamber, but over $2,000. And finally, we'll talk about the BFR bands. And we're going to address multiple categories here, most important of which is tourniquet effect and safety, and then easy to apply, and then effective. So let's start with these cheap straps or bands. The first thing you'll notice is most of these are like rubber bands. They don't have an air chamber. And the thing that every person who tries to put these on is going to notice is you can't get them on by yourself. Now you can see here I've got no way to use a buckle or something to get it on. But because I know this band, I can push this clip down here and I can push it down. I can tell you I'm starting to pinch myself right here under the skin. But if I was to get this on, it would feel something like that. And I can tell you I'm already getting a pinching feeling here. And I can already tell you that I'm not getting enough blood flow restriction, so I really have to crank this down. This is dangerous. This creates a tourniquet-like effect, and I have no idea what the pressure is, meaning if I want to duplicate this the next time, I encourage everybody not to use these things. These are dangerous. This category of cheap bands or straps. Next category of bands are these single air chambers. Single air chamber means there's 1 air chamber running through. So when we put it on our arm, it's going to be like squeezing an inner tube down. It's a complete squeeze. Big difference from the BFR bands, which we'll talk more about in a little bit, that have the multiple barrel design that kind of act like a bunch of fingers or individual air bladders pushing in. Makes them completely safe. This is one of the more popular ones out there. Here's the first big problem I tell people that want to buy these bands for $299. Good luck getting them on, because you can't get it on by yourself. You'd have to have multiple hands, because I've got nothing to hook it through. So we'll come back in just a second and I'll show you this band. Back with this single chamber band on, I can tell you just right off the bat, this is very thin and flimsy. It slides around and moves all over the place. This band, the BFR band, very sturdy, stays in place. Let's go ahead and pump this one up. I'm going to pump this up to about 300. I'm going to pump this one up to about 250. I can tell you there's a big difference in how these feel. This is a complete squeeze. It kind of feels like I got a tourniquet on. This is way more comfortable. So as I'm moving my arms, I have way more comfort on this left side. One of the problems with these bands is because they're flimsy, they can tend to slide out of place very easy. This piece right here, you can see that can start popping out. That can't happen with the BFR band. Look, I can't get this band out of place. So these are not easy to use. Obviously, the price difference is not worth it, and they create a tourniquet-like effect. Next, single chamber band. I'm not going to tell you the name of the band. You can probably see it on there. I encourage you, please stay away from this band. This one is rigid and acts like a blood pressure cuff, can very easily cut off blood flow. So I'm going to pump this one up to about 260, and I can tell you that is an intense squeeze. And I've lost my pulse on my radial pulse, so I'd have to really know what I was doing. You could get some of these young guys or teenagers or bodybuilders using this, and if you cut off blood flow for a specific period of time, that's not good. I'm going to turn this down here a little bit. Now I can feel my pulse going again, but I can tell you that is very, very uncomfortable. Why? Because it's rigid. It's like a hard blood pressure cuff, and it's a single chamber. Encourage none of you to use this type of band. Type of bands are the expensive, or what I call rehab setting bands. You got the Katsu bands, great bands. They're over $2,000. They are a single chamber, not as good as our bands, but they are very good. And then you got systems like the Delphi and Hokinson cuffs. This is the $2,000 to $5,000 range. Is not really appropriate for adult fitness. Now let's talk about the BFR bands. First of all, easy to get on, because if you can't get the band on, you're not going to be able to use it. That's why we have that little clip. You simply start by sliding it through. Okay, slide it up the arm. Get it in the place you want, which is you want this valve right here. Just tuck your arm right here against your chest. and just reach back there and put it on. Band's on. The tightness you want is if the skin moves with it, it's nice and snug. Then all I have to do is pump it up to the recommended pressure, which is listed right on the back of the band. This is a number 200 band. Simply pump it up to 200, disconnect it, and I'm ready to go. Now, in the form of tourniquet effect, we just saw what those other bands do. They are a complete squeeze. This is very comfortable. Remember, it's like multiple air bladders pushing. It's not a complete squeeze. Makes it completely safe for kids, seniors, anybody. Next, it's very easy to use and comfortable, easy to get on. It's portable. Once we're done, we simply let the air out, unstrap it, pop it off, and we're done. By far the easiest bands to use. In addition, these bands are waterproof. They're washable. If you're using them between people, simply wash them off with an alcohol wipe. You can even put them in the washer. And finally, 12-month warranty, 30-day money-back guarantee. So as you can see, these are the best bands on the market, and they are by far the safest and easiest to use, the B3 bands.